chop all these siege tanks now. Those drones really desperately trying to run for their lives. There's Wednesday Night Starcraft.
vVv Gaming.
MLG, Shakura's Plateau, and NGry spawning as the red Terran player and vVv spawning as the blue Zerg. Game 1 in this King of the Hill style best of 7 series. And who do you think has the advantage on Shakura's Plateau? You being a Zerg player, me being a Terran player, I'm sure we can talk each other's ear off.
Yeah, well, it'll be pretty easy to take a second as a Zerg player, but it's also very easy to take a quick second as a Terran player as well. So really it comes down to the Zerg being able to expand past that natural, and he's going to want to try to do that in the northwestern direction, try to get on a third if it goes that far, and the Terran eventually going to try to control that middle, perhaps use some drop play as well. NGry, I imagine, might be going for regular bio play. That tends to be a style in TVZ.
Yeah, so we are going to see a standard 10 supply depot being laid down, and most likely we will see either, I believe, a hatchery first, or actually it looks like he may be going for the extractor trick that we saw very, very common from the Korean players from MLG Columbus. And it seems like once the Korean players all came over and started doing that, we really started to see that much on the North American servers, and I think it actually gives you a slight economic bonus. I'm not really too sure about that though.
Yeah, I think the math has been done, and I'm not sure it gives you too much of a bonus, if anything. It might just be the Koreans trying to eke out every little advantage that they can think of. As you do see, that's very common over in Korea, not so much in North America, but it looks like vVv, a fan of the Koreans, and now he sent out his scouting drone as well as a drone to make a 14 hatchery here. So he will get that hatchery down early enough, and it looks like no gas yet for NGry, so we'll see whether he goes for some sort of 2 racks pressure.
Yeah, NGry did go for that second supply depot. He will be able to finish off the wall in, and this is always a really big mind game coming in from a Zerg. You can also see the Overlord has come over. SCV was able to get underneath it, and now vVv needs to be very careful with this Overlord. He knows that one gas is not in play, but that all-important second gas, he doesn't know if it's there or not. He is upgrading to an orbital command, and with only 1 barracks, I believe he will be building a second command center in just a moment.
Yeah, 1 racks expand, very popular expand play for Terran, especially on a map like this. It tends to be a more macro-oriented map. One of the first macro-oriented maps that Blizzard did introduce. Not quite as large as Tal'Darim Altar, but we tend to get a split map here, and you're right, it looks like vVv trying to hide that Overlord. He's going to want to duck in at some point from the south to get some secondary scouting information, see what sort of tech NGry eventually goes for, see whether he takes 1 gas and starts getting factory, and perhaps some reactored medevacs to go with his bio play, or whether he goes heavy gas. And it looks like vVv transferring some drones, getting his natural up and running.
Yeah, we also see NGry deciding to build the command center at the low ground instead of trying to hide it off in his base. I think that's actually a pretty smart move. A lot of the time, the Overlord will try to suicide its way in, try to get a little bit more scouting information, as we now see vVv moving in with this Overlord. The Overlord should be able to get sight onto both of those geysers in just a moment, but a Marine now making its way down to try to intercept that one Overlord. We are getting some Zerglings moving out by vVv as well, and we are getting a little bit of a wall-in attempt by NGry, but NGry's going to have a bit of a problem as those Marines are now backing off. Only 1 Marine and a bunker about halfway completed. I'm not sure, as long as the SCV is able to delay those Zerglings for just long enough, it looks like, yes, that bunker will be placed down and NGry will be able to run off of 2 base play.
Yeah, there's quite a few Zerglings by vVv. I'm not sure if he scouted something that made him think some early pressure was coming. Usually we see 2 or maybe 4 Zerglings, but hardly ever see the 6 Zerglings. vVv losing 1 there. He does see the bunker, sees the barracks going down as well, can assume that that command center is up and perhaps finished, as it's just now finishing. If we check the income tab, it is 20 to 21 at the moment. vVv does have his gas, and it looks like NGry adding 2 gas right now.
Yeah, this is one of those instances where a Zerg player can really try to change things up. He can put down a lot of roach pressure if he tries to and do a little bit of an all-in. I don't believe that vVv will be going for that, as he stopped mining any gas. So that's a rather unusual play by vVv. I've never seen a Zerg player actually place down a roach warren and then pull drones off of gas. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, again, I'm not sure whether he's got all the scouting information he really wants at this point. He's seen 1 gas, and he's seen the 2 racks building, but he doesn't know whether some helium pressure is going to be following this. Typically, if they were coming, they'd be coming quite late, as NGry gets a scan down on this roach warren, and that Roach Warren might just be a just-in-case sort of thing, and that scan by NGry may make him think that a Roachling all-in, which has been pretty popular recently against this fast expand for Terran, might be on the way, so we'll see whether he adds some extra defenses.
Yeah, the only thing we'll have to keep track of, we now see Suppy finally transferring some additional drones back to the extractor, but still only running off of one gas play. The Overlord of Suppy now trying to see if he can actually spot that expansion on the far side. It will make the slow crawl and fly over in that direction, as a Zergling by Suppy just sitting at the 3 o'clock expansion as well. And I'm not quite sure if Suppy really knows what NGry's trying to go for, and if he allows NGry to just tech up, get up a lot of Marines and his bioplate, it's going to be very difficult to stop.
Yeah, we see Combat Shield and Stimpack on the way for NGry as a sacrificial Zergling going there for Suppy, so we will see the perhaps the Marine count and definitely the full bunker there. So we see have those 2 upgrades about to finish, or about halfway done for NGry, and I imagine he's going to be pushing out once those do finish, applying some Marine pressure. It's going to be before Infestors hit, before any Mutas are up as well. So we'll see Suppy just about halfway done his lair. We'll see what sort of lair tech he goes for. He's actually made quite a few lings here to try to control the early game.
Yeah, with a lot of Zings now going up to 22, the Zerglings may be able to sneak up and get up that ramp and perhaps try to get a little bit more scouting information. There was the Zerglings now trying to finally make their way in, but know that bunker is still full. Marines now activating the center zone Naga Watchtower as the Zergling once again gets picked off, and Suppy, at this point, if he had a stronger drone advantage or a stronger economic advantage by taking another hatchery down, I would say he had the advantage, but I think NGry at some point will just be able to play it very safe and then move out very slowly.
Yeah, we do see Suppy taking his 3rd now and getting up a macro hatch. He was floating some pretty high mineral count, 800-900, so it's good to see him spend that money. He does have a gas, which isn't being mined at the moment in his natural. He's got a decent drone count, but he really hasn't gotten the advantage that we'd like to see for a Zerg player against a Terran, especially all 3 base. As we see NGry pushing in, he's trying to scan and take care of this creep. He knows that Banelings and Zerglings very good on creep, so he wants to do the smart thing, just be very safe. As we see him push up to the bottom of this ramp, then pull back, and Banelings and Lings are here to defend for Suppy.
Yeah, those Banelings are not going to be able to find their target, those, as a hatchery most likely will get cancelled in just a moment. A Queen of Suppy hiding off on the high ground will be able to just hold that position and not get taken down there, as there are a lot of Zerglings, and now Banelings now finally making their way in and may be able to melt a lot of these Marines. There was a decent enough Marine spread there. 2 Banelings arriving to the party just a little bit late, but it looks like they're going to be able to finish off all of those Marines.
Yeah, it was a beautiful spread by NGry. I think that Suppy just had a lot more units. NGry probably, unless he had great Marine micro there, wasn't going to be winning that encounter. And Suppy, once again, pretty even in terms of worker count, and he had to cancel that 3rd. So at this point, I'd put him behind. His one option here is we see him pushing across. He may try some sort of bust. There's just one bunker. There's not a complete wall off. NGry's got quite a few queued up Marines too out of these barracks, so his macro is slipping as well, pushing down, trying to get a count of the Zerglings. As we see the Zerglings trying to get us around here on the Marines. They're going to do huge amounts of damage, but the Marines cleaning up about half of them, and now trying to get a wall off, trying to place down a engineering bay, and Suppy pulling back, does not want to take on that bunker without Banelings.
Yeah, instead, just morphing in about 18 Banelings now. They'll be able to roll up that ramp. A lot more Zerglings need to come in from behind as well in order to finish that off there. There are Marines up on the high ground as well, so NGry looking pretty well protected. Those Banelings, if they do try to go for a suicide run, it doesn't look like that much damage will be dealt, but here it comes in. Banelings now just rolling through, and a lot of damage has been dealt. The Marines need to try to battle it around. SCVs coming out the mineral line, and they will get destroyed as well, taking down so many workers. And now, wow, Suppy able to just suicide those units in and get into the natural expansion, getting in a lot of damage. NGry does have an additional command center inside his base to try to train up more units, but this is just a really well-timed play by Suppy.
Yeah, Suppy's streaming in more and more Lings. He's got 8 on the way, now 16 on the way, and NGry does not have a lot of Marines left to defend here. Really wish that he could have gotten some siege tech up and hadn't gone so heavy bio-wise. That was a pretty late bust for a Baneling Zergling play, and NGry got a little bit greedy. He made a 3rd command center, possibly going to be on a 3rd much faster than the Zerg, and now we see Suppy. He's not going to be able to break that wall off without Banelings, but he will be able to terrorize the barracks and the engineering bay on the low ground here.
Yeah, the engineering bay going to burn. The barracks most likely will burn down, as well as another 24 banelings currently being hatched. That is going to be a problem. Zerglings now making their way forward. That one engineering bay will just burn to a crisp. That wall off will not be able to stand up for very much longer. You can see that one baneling or two banelings will be enough to take down that engineering bay. More Marines are trying to make their way down as well. And normally that command center should have been upgraded to another orbital command and being able to get in more minerals, but that does not seem to be the case, as Zerglings and banelings now rolling up the ramp, going to be able to take down this bunker rather easily. Down it goes. Marines now up on the high ground once more, and the banelings are going to be able to blow their way through once again. The Marines trying to run away. Will they be able to fend off this attack? It doesn't look like it, as the banelings and more SCVs coming in. Zerglings just cleaning up everything else, and there's the GG.
Wow, so NGry pushing across, and he might have invested a little too much into that first attack. He was able to force the Zerg to cancel his third, but then getting a little bit greedy and making that own third command center of his own, planning on expanding, and just didn't have any tech up, no siege tanks to really defend against a baneling bust there. He did not have a complete wall off, didn't have multiple bunkers, and just really didn't have the Marine count that you would need to defend against a Zergling and baneling mix.
Yeah, that was just really, really painful to watch as a Terran player. With so many Zerglings, so many banelings, he did so many things right in the very beginning and then just fell apart in the end.